Landed property design secrets that seriously raise capital value, formerly kept secrets unless you were the client. 10 steps to ensure your property's capital value is raised. Feed the process that makes a successful project.
Why don't I show you some of the principles that I just talked about? Why don't you come over to my side and then we'll take a look. Whenever we look at planning, let us focus on what gives us capital value appreciation. So very often when I meet with a client, I firstly ask the client what kind of property you own. Because the kind of plot that you own will determine the kind of house that will go onto it. So as I mentioned in the earlier videos, your ability to maximize the plot will determine the amount of value that your property value will evaluate in there, thereby giving you the best kind of planning that you can have. So typically house plots come in rectangular sizes. You normally have a driveway, okay? So you have a road, and typically the plots will come as a rectangle, right? Let me just start with a larger plot. Let's say about 10,000 square feet, 1,000 square meters. Reason why I do this is because we can always work down the size later on to then show the principles to you how to implement the best planning for a smaller size plot. Let's say a semi-detached terrace or just a typical detached, which is not a bungalow. But let's look at a bungalow, right? So sides of a bungalow are typically around a rectangle size, or it might be in a specific shape. Let's say it's a bit of a trapezium shape like that. And you want to look for something that's a good frontage. Now just taking a look at a reference from, say, Sentosa Cove. Sentosa Cove has a nice canal marina that goes in front of it. And in every plot that you have, typically the zoning requirements in any country will require you to have setback, right? So there might be a setback in the front, and then there's also setbacks in the side, and there's also setbacks in the rear as well. So typically the setbacks in the rear is slightly more than ones on the side, but the ones in the front is very much deeper than the rest. So let's say your house is a big frontage. So later on, if we have a semi-D or a terrace, let's just say what if we divided these kind of plots into smaller plots? Then you can see the principle of how this whole thing works now. Now, in order to have good capital value appreciation, you got to look at how to take advantage of the site. Now, if the site has a neighbor here, then you don't really have views on the site. No views, right? No views on the site, not much. You want to have privacy. So you definitely want to screen off the edge with trees, with screening devices like landscaping. And definitely you want to ensure that you have sufficient setback. So a lot of times I don't want to pull the building all the way to the setback line. I typically move a bit further in on all sides, okay, and then take advantage of the front to give a wonderful driveway. Right? So anything that's built in has to be within these lines. So let's say we pull in a bit further around to this point, okay, and then let's say we look at the corners. Now corners are a very important aspect of the house because corners typically allow you to have a nice view out, and you can use it for entertainment areas, patios, dining areas, living areas, primarily entertainment spaces. Now what happens in the middle? So I would say that in a house like this, I would even put a nice pool right in the middle, or some kind of element that will pull it all together. I typically like very good landscaping that flows into the development. So I would say, let's say we put a pool maybe somewhere around here, perhaps, but just be careful because pools typically need sun. Yeah? So if it's too deep in, then you won't get any sun for to warm up the pool in the daytime. Whether it's in a tropical country or in a temperate country, you want the pool to have sufficient sun to hit onto it, right? So let's assume that this house is facing north-south, which is the most beautiful direction, especially when it's long this way. So that if it's in the tropics, you don't want the east-west sun to hit it directly in the long face or in the short face. But when it comes to, say, a temperate country, then you would prefer to have a north sun coming at you in the living area because that's what you want. You want the light to come in, which is a north light. But let's look at Singapore right now, and assuming that this is a wide frontage, Later on, we'll just carve this down and show a narrow frontage here. So I would say keep this for a beautiful a location where you can put nice landscaping. I would definitely put landscaping in the middle here. And I would definitely put a pool right in between here. And let that pool come across here and link it all the way up here. So the pool could actually come all the way here and wrap the corners of the house. And then what do you do here? I would love to have a patio here that can open up to a seating area here that you can enjoy, and let this patio actually extend all the way into the house, right? So that your living spaces is connected with the outdoor patio area. So that's what we talked about when we connect the indoor and the outdoor, between the landscape areas and outdoor, as well as on the indoor spaces, right? So definitely at the front here, we want to have a nice entrance, and I would like to center the entrance somewhere at the front, and I would like to set it in slightly so that then you can put a nice feature here that can be the driveway canopy that will cover over the car porch. And in the west, you have this thing which you call the porch, where you can sit outside, enjoy the weather. You can do that same as in Singapore, because then it's kind of like in the old days where you had a black and white colonial bungalows, where when you have outdoors and indoors coming together like this, between the outdoor and indoor space, maybe you pull it all the way up to here for an outdoor kind of covered space, and then here as well. Then you have the connectivity between indoor and outdoor. Then here, of course, you want to have screening as well on the front of the house. Don't overdo the landscaping though at the front, because you still want to be able to have the house look grand from the front. So naturally as well, in this part of the world, people really like to see their cars, right? So you want to have the driveway opening up to the road directly, and then be able to park your cars here. Well, in a configuration of this kind of size, you can easily put in about 4 cars, and that's nice, because then you are able to come over here. And if possible, we'd like to have about 10 meters here. Now, looking at this configuration, which is about 10,000 square feet, you're looking at about a 39 by 20 kind of configuration. 39, let's say 39 meters, which is like about 40 by about 25 meters. 25 meters, let's say 25, here maybe let's say 22, and here maybe let's say about 25 to 28, 22 to 25. That will give you an area of about 10,000 square feet, which is really nice. So what happened is that these areas here would naturally become, again, outdoor areas as well for you to enjoy this pool, which is kind of going through here. Let me just give a bit of color to the pool. So the pool is probably going to be around here, going across here, and then wrapping over to the side of the building, and then you have a nice patio there, and the pool comes all the way inside here, and then it goes across here as well. So that gives you a nice pool here. Maybe I should give it a blue color. Let me just give a verging of a blue so that we can set it apart. And I'm going to put in some nice landscaping on this as well. So this one comes up to the front, and then the pool kind of sets in. And then you can see that you have nice patio areas here as well, and these can be nice places where you can respond to it, right? You have living areas looking out. So when I come in immediately, I would like to see a nice forecourt of the living area, and then you can see behind it a nice view out to the marina with a pool right there. Yeah, so I just put that pool. So these two sides can easily be seen as living and dining spaces on the ground floor. Of course, you would like to have an upper level, because the upper story would then become a very natural separation between public and private space, which I talked about. So when you look at a program, you look at the public and private spaces. You also look at the indoor-outdoor spaces that I mentioned. You look at the setbacks. You look at the areas where you can put the indoor and outdoor as well. Yeah. So now, in order to really take advantage of this, now you want to ensure that you have a good light coming into the building, right? Okay, so all these areas are great for light to come in. Now, in terms of the section of the building, now what if I drew a line across this whole building right here? Okay, I drew a line across here, looking in this direction. I would probably get a building profile like this. It's the ground line, and then I'll probably have something like this, where in Singapore, for example, we are controlled by up to about 3 stories. Some areas you can only go up to 2 stories. So let's assume that we can go up to 3 stories. We have a higher ground floor and then a lesser floor-to-floor height for the second and third floor. In Singapore, we don't call it ground, we call it 1, we call it 2, we call it 3. And then the roof form might be something that breaks away from the norm, right? So this way you actually get a much better, interesting profile, and you get this overhang so that it stops sunlight from coming in to your building and therefore avoiding the heat as well. And in this case, you have a 3 plus an attic space. So the attic space is the springing line. This is probably around the same line as this one. So that way it goes past regulations in Singapore. And very likely you'll probably have a basement. The basement will probably be located here where the common area is. Okay, so this area is going to be a very nice corridor here that links between both sides. And where would you probably put the staircase? Now the staircase is the other feature that really adds to the whole value of the house, including the lift as well. You might want to have even a very grand staircase. You could even possibly put it around here if you wanted to, yeah, so that this could be a kind of like a little bit of a dogleg up there. It goes up and then comes back down here. So it doesn't block the view across from the living area and the entrance coming in, and you still have a space here on one side or possibly to put a lift. Yeah. So you can either put it here or here. You probably don't want to put 2 because you don't need to have 2. So I'll just draw in so that you know where possibly the staircase is to be. So if you have the staircase here, then you don't need this one. Right? So this could be on the ground floor, a nice area where you can put your store on one side. So let's say that this is the living area, and this is the dining area. So you actually naturally separate the 2 of them. So the dining allows you to have a nice, wonderful view here, and then you pull this back in a bit as well, and then you have this indoor-outdoor space together with this green tree area where your landscape is, and then you can sit inside and outside as well here. And then here at the same time as well, you can sit inside, outside, and then your kitchen areas will probably be around here, together with your bar counters. So your kitchen, the store area could be somewhere around here. Yeah, so you're walking around here, and you don't really fit into this because this is actually a very big space, right? So you can actually walk in, and then this could be a bar counter or something. And you'll be able to serve and entertain guests when they're here. And when you're sitting around in this space, I would recommend that you locate your beautiful dining table right in the middle here. Probably maybe even with a 10-seater, let's say. And down here you can actually have your sofa set and so on this side, yeah, so that you can enjoy this. Now this is of course a very big scale, and this will probably be overscale, but the general idea, I just want to exaggerate the size of the dining area so that you know that this is dining. And the living, naturally you will have lounging areas here as well. Yeah, you definitely have lounging areas here as well, and probably indoor and outdoor areas. Yeah. So in Singapore, because it's very hot here in the daytime, you don't have the kind of sprawling outdoor decked seating sofa on the outside like in the Mediterranean or in California, for example, where it's dry and cool. So most of it is kind of like undercover and indoor-outdoor, but naturally you will pull up your ground level very nicely tall, and then you would pull these very nice canopies out so that you will get a wonderful cool environment here. And this is naturally your your boundary wall. Yeah. And we were talking also about basement, right? Okay, so let's just come back to that in a short while. Now, so when you come in here, okay, you have an alcove here to enter. Now you want to put water. You might want to put water at the front as well. So you might want to put some water here and here, yeah, so as to give it a lot more of that feng shui, or that feeling of coolness, of letting air flow in through here, right all the way through here, all the way there. Yeah. So this is nice, and then also allow the breezes to come from the marina into the house. So as I mentioned, find those directions where you have waters, bodies, or you have landscaping that's going to increase the value of your property. But where you don't want to see, for example, your neighbor, or it's something that's unpleasant on the side, you put screening on the edges and you ensure that you cover yourself there so that people don't look in. But where it's beautiful from the front, you want to be able to have complementary kind of landscaping that is just wonderful. I talked about friendly panning before. Now, the other area, of course, landscaping that you can incorporate in there is you can incorporate landscaping, for example, right in the middle here, or even right here, for example. Yeah. So currently, I haven't really looked at detailed planning yet, like where the rooms are and so on, because that's where you really need to talk to an architect and myself, and we'll go in there and plan real dimensions. But this is really what we look at when we look at the overall scope of layout, so that we can get the best, right? Okay, so in the living area, as I mentioned before, the living area can actually be segmented into different parts. Okay, so let's say we segment it into a few parts, like possibly like there's one part here. Let's say there's another part here, and then there's another kind of like another part here. So this area here might be a lovely area where you can invite guests to have a nice lounging area where you can lie down, okay, and you can look out to this area, okay. At the same time, you can also have a more quiet area here where you can have a conversation on the back here. So I definitely want to put some bathrooms here, okay, since this corner is not free because of the staircase there. Now I would like to have bathrooms here and powder rooms. So this side will be the kitchen and some storage spaces. Yeah, in this kind of size, you already have a island kind of kitchen easily. Then on this side, you probably want to have probably on this side, you might want to incorporate maybe a wet kitchen, where some of your more oily cooking can actually discharge to the side. But here, definitely very nice powder room that will complement the living area. And if anybody wants to go to the powder room, they can come to this side. Right in the middle here, I will put a statement here. Okay, this is naturally the area where you want to open up to the void upstairs. Upstairs is going to be a void there, and you want to be able to look down into the pool and link up upstairs. So upstairs, there will be a bridge across here. They'll be linking between the two sides. So let's take a look at the basement before we go upstairs. So in such a house, you definitely want to put a basement there. I would recommend that the basement be part of this. Yeah. And then part of this void here, so that you can even look down at this. A lot of times when you have a basement in a house, we don't have that opening void there to link between the ground and the basement, and that becomes a real problem because the basement gets very dark. So I would definitely put a void here, and then allow people to see that. Okay, so this same staircase will also go downstairs into the basement. So let's look at the basement in plan. Let's just sketch over this one, and then you can see that the basement plan will be in this form. Okay, you have this areas here. Okay, let's say this is what it is. Okay, and then you have the staircase there that has this lift that's going downstairs, and then you have the other staircase, and definitely on the ceiling of this basement, you want to have this void there. And once you have this, right, you can line it up in a lot of different special areas that you could put in there. You can have entertainment areas, you can have a beach right here. You can even have a cigar room on this side, or even a storage, a wine cellar. Okay, you can put the wine cellar here. So this will be perfect for an entertainment area because it's really big. Now this one you can put wine cellar there, you can put in other music rooms and so on and so forth on this side. But when you come down here, again here, you could have other functions as well. You can have your washrooms, and also don't forget, because it's in the basement, you probably have that service areas. A lot of times when we design for a house, we want to ensure that the services do not come in and become an obstruction to your living functional spaces. We want to ensure that they are out of sight but not out of mind, and they're always constantly there in order to service your equipment. So for example, upstairs there's a swimming pool here. We certainly need to have a balancing tank, okay, somewhere around here, okay, that is accessible, and this balancing tank will be able to service the pool up there, including the filtration and so on and so forth. So everything is all accessible here. So we have this staircase that brings us upstairs, and then we probably have this staircase. You might be thinking, why do we need two staircases? The whole idea is to create grandeur. For a house of this scale, you want it to be grand, and it's not much different from like that of a hotel, because the hospitality effect that you create is going to increase the overall value of the home. So naturally here you have a deck, okay, and you'll be able to enjoy this as well. So you want to have some sun shading done as well. So this is the ground, first level, and the second floor you want to start your bedrooms, right? So you might want to keep this corridor on this side, so that when you enter the rooms, they look out this way, but at the same time you can enjoy the courtyard that's coming in the pool. So I would definitely put in about eight bedrooms in here. Okay, so we'll probably have maybe 6 to 8 bedrooms. I would probably put the master bedroom upstairs, put it on this side, and then here we can have 2 bedrooms and plus 2 baths. Okay, plus 1 bath, 1 major bath, and here 2 bedrooms plus 2 baths. So you have here as well 2 bedrooms, 2 plus 2 baths. Remember I mentioned about the property valuation from the professional valuer? They're always looking at the number of bedrooms. Now I just want to partition them in bedroom first, but they don't necessarily have to be bedrooms. These bedrooms can actually end up being studies or other entertainment rooms above ground level and family areas as well. But having the flexibility of saying 6 bedrooms and 6 baths plus 1 master bedroom plus 1 bath gives you the ability to then change it to different functions. And again, we want to take a look at the floor plate in a short while to see how we can open up the spaces. Now upstairs here, this is a wonderful place which I talked about the attic before. Now the attic allows you to put an entertainment space up there, no longer about storage, and it's capable of making an office, home office, and maybe even part of the master bedroom, like a penthouse, right? So you could probably even put a beautiful bed here, right? And then have some kind of skylight coming in, but with actuators to ensure that you block off the sunlight, but allowing blocking off the direct sunlight, but allowing some reflected light to come in. So because of the high space here, you can do a lot of things. Right? You can do beautiful hanging lights and so on and so forth. Now, the other thing that I didn't mention about is the air conditioning in this house. So air conditioning is something you need to think about right from the beginning. Air conditioning is just like indoor-outdoor spaces. When it's indoor, you want to be able to make it capable of being air conditioned. If it's outdoor, of course, that's going to be natural. So when it comes to the enclosing surfaces, you want to have a sliding folding as much as possible. For example, here, this thing could all be closed up, but in the night, it's just sliding folding, slides out that way, and it slides out this way as well. So what will happen like this is that if you do all this sliding folding as much as possible, your whole structure appears to be floating in front of the water. and you only have columns that's holding the building up. Okay, these columns will allow you to have a nice look. So if this was the front of the building looking this way now, you would actually have these columns holding it up, very, very thin columns. And then you have this beautiful patio cover, canopy. And these sliding foldings actually go to the side in the night. And this whole place is actually open. This whole place is actually open now. Now that's a beautiful idea. Now, we haven't actually got into details of interior design, nor even the architectural detailing. The architectural detailing is what gives you the language of the architecture and the building, how it actually finally comes together as a beautiful work of art, right? But as it is, it's more important to focus on the planning, because the planning is the one that gives you the fundamental layer of value, capital, appreciation. And after that, you start to dress it up according to your lifestyle, which is what I talked about. So what we covered today is quite a bit. We're talking about a single plot, a house where you divide it into different areas. We talked about indoor, outdoor spaces. We talked about private, public spaces. Public meaning to say some spaces where you can bring your friends over. Okay, so these are kind of like the public spaces here. These are more or less the public spaces. And then upstairs on the upper level, those are your private spaces. So this kind of zoning allows you to really capitalize on the difference between what you're building up so that the perceived value is higher. Right? Because if everything is all mixed up and put together, that's not good. So this is what architects look at first, and then eventually we start to beautify all of them. Right? We make sure the functionality works, we make sure that everything comes together. So as I was mentioning just now, for air conditioning, for indoor spaces, you want to probably have air conditioning that is either a ducted unit. Ducted means, for example, if I have my air conditioning on the bedroom here, I'll put a false ceiling, and then the air conditioner will be coming in through a ducted system, which will then be running in the corridor, and then it comes into the bedroom, and then it ducts out like this. For this kind of system, it's a lot more expensive because you have to cater to the cost of the ducting, and then you have to locate the fan coil unit somewhere upstairs. Okay, in this case, I'll put my fan coil unit here, and then you probably have to have an outdoor unit as well. That will be the compressor, right? So the outdoor unit in this case is not one of those which you hang on the side of the building, but it's going to be something that's going to be big. So let's assume that we have both the aircon, the compressor, as well as the fan coil unit on this side. Yeah, so you still have this part of the additive use. Yeah. So if on this side, what I'll do is I'll put it on the shallower, the lower area where it's not so habitable, the fan coil unit as well as the compressor, and then the higher ceiling area, I'll make that wonderful usable space, which in this case, it can be even a spiral connected back to the master bedroom. And bathroom, of course, is another thing. The bathrooms are a wonderful complement to the bedrooms, as I mentioned earlier in my talk. Now let's take a look at the upper levels, how the bedrooms and the baths might come together. So let's assume that this is that footprint again. And the staircases actually come upstairs. You can have two staircases or just one. It's not an issue. Now this is the lift. Now when it comes to the bedrooms, now imagine if you had a wonderful singular master bedroom here, and you could use the corner for a bathroom. Yeah. Now this could be a beautiful bedroom, master bedroom, or alternatively you can put the bath here as well. But I would put the bedroom on this side because my bath can just be facing out there with nice screening so people don't see me bathing here, and I can see the corner to enjoy the suite here. But here on this side, I would definitely want to be able to see my pool downstairs, and I want to be able to see what my guests are doing downstairs as well. So if I were to come into this bedroom, I would definitely want to come in from this side, maybe a kind of like a double door, and then I would definitely want to put my bed here where my bedstead is in the back here. Why is this? Because you want to have a wall for the business. And naturally, I could put an entertainment system right over here, and then at the back I can have a dresser, chaise lounge, or a day bed, and so on and so forth. And then with a nice balcony here as well. Yeah, and if possible, I may even put a balcony on this side. Yeah, so that'll be a beautiful, beautiful bedroom. And when I go in here, this will be a lovely bathroom. Here, I'll probably put a walk-in wardrobe so that I could easily come from my bed and walk in here into the walk-in wardrobe before entering the bathroom. Now on this side, you probably have a partition like this because you want to be able to have both bedrooms enjoying views in the corner rather than cutting it this way and then giving it just to one bedroom. So it could even be deep, that's not an issue because I would definitely put my baths somewhere around here. This is kind of like a hotel concept. It's a studio so that my doors will come in from this side. Now this staircase will probably be adjusted. And here naturally we'll have a void that's looking downstairs as well. Now if we don't have two staircases, then easily this one can be a seating area. Right? This could be just a seating area where you can actually relax here. And this is definitely a nice entrance going inside. I'll put the door facing this way instead. And then here, naturally I would like to have the door facing into the bath in this direction, not on this side of the wall, because then I can free this up for my bed, which will all be on this side. Right? So my bed will be on this side, the pillows, and then you can have a nice wall here. Yeah, a wall here. Remember I mentioned that not everything should be a window, but the corners would be nice to be windows because then you can have a nice chaise lounge there, and even perhaps maybe even a dresser here or a desk there, things like that. Right? You can put lovely functions here as well. And at the back here, certainly we want to be able to put other functions like a family area or entertainment area and so on and so forth. Now this, because it's a big house, right? So I probably don't want to put any more rooms in there. But if it was a smaller house, I certainly want to put another bedroom here because that really raises up the capital value of the home, right? So another bedroom here might be an option if I wanted to really raise the value of this. And certainly here, we are looking at a view down back into the main street. Now upstairs, this could actually be the top floor. So now here we're left with these areas here which can become entertainment spaces, family spaces. I've just put bedrooms here because we want to be able to demarcate spaces so that they're capable of becoming livable spaces. The whole idea is to put a wall around it so that you can demarcate what the function will be, but eventually it might be something else like what I mentioned in the basement. So naturally we don't want to have so many bedrooms, but we want to just identify what they are. So now this kind of covers the layout of a bungalow. That's for example in Sentosa Cove. Now you might be asking, what if I only have a semi-D or a terrace? What do I do with it? So if I only have a semi-D or terrace, this is what I'll do. Right? So imagine now you're only taking like one segment of this, which you had a whole big site here, right here. So a semi-D might be a size similar to this, and there's a boundary wall there. You still have a rear setback, front setback, side setback. So essentially this is the area that you can build up to. And for a semi-D, yes, I would recommend that you actually build all the way to the boundary because you don't have that much space. But you can definitely put in air wells as well as landscaping, which was something very, very important in the past. So I would even identify where the staircase is going to be first. So I would probably put the staircase somewhere in the middle here, where I could easily put a lift, a nice lift here, right? So all the other functions can be happening around it. And therefore I set in a patio area that goes out to this side as well. Similarly, this can be nice areas where you can have a dining area that's linked to this. So I would certainly put a kitchen and dine store areas somewhere around here, maybe even a powder room somewhere around here, and then definitely an entrance. And you want to have the parking around this side. Cater to about 2 or 3 parking, if possible 4. Impossible 3. Have your gate sliding out to this side, and then have this one sliding into the wall here. And then you can leave this as your nice garden space. At the same time, have a canopy and a patio that sticks out here. So in Singapore, this canopy, it's allowable to extend up, but not the wall of the building. The wall of the building will have 7.5 meters. And here on the side, you need to have a 2 meters. And on the back, it's a 3 meters. So this could be a nice dining area here. The dining area, kitchen here, and maybe store and other things. Powder room could be here. Maybe this could be a WC, utility area and all that, typical. And here is the living, right? Okay, so what will make it special is the way you approach it. So the way you approach it might be going through a pool here. And before you enter into the living area, so that pool could be combined with a tree, right, to give it a beautiful landscaping, so that this could be a nice path with water underneath, which you enter the door here and before you enter into the living space. And naturally you get this open space without any walls here. So the only time when you have a wall is where the kitchen is, or in this case you might not even have a wall, but you might have the kitchen really where you are going to cook a lot, maybe here, and the rest of it is just open. All this which is hatch is open, but then a definable space that based on the material texture on the floor, a change in the ceiling, maybe a different look in the lighting, and of course the furniture will define the living area and then separate it from the dining as well. And you naturally want to have your nice dining table here, either it's round or it's rectangular, and certainly another one where your patio goes all the way, and then here in the corner, and naturally you want to have your landscaping shielding you away from the neighbor. Yeah, and certainly at the back as well. And here, this could be another area where you just want to be able to say, if you have children, you can put them right here, a place where they can play safely, kind of like a home playground. So they kind of concludes the terrace, the semi-D. It kind of concludes the semi-D. Whereas when it comes to terraces are typically in a row, right? But you might have a corner terrace that is doing this. So this is the corner terrace now. Corner terrace is the garden. This is the garden. Again, you want to have screening. Of course, it doesn't naturally always come in a rectangle to be in this kind of configuration. That's why a lot of people don't take advantage of this, because they could easily make an extension all the way here and really take advantage of this, where this becomes a much larger terrace where you can then really get more capital value appreciation out of it. So what I've talked about today really is about capital value appreciation. So if you're able to take some of these planning ideas and make them your own, you will be naturally able to maximize the areas as well as cater to different lifestyle tastes in case you want to sell immediately after you reconstruct or construct, or you're going to sell many years later. So the whole idea is to lock in the value today, as I've been harping about, and so that you don't regret not having incorporated those principles and strategies today when you look back many years later, right? So coming back to the terrace, this things that you can do. Now you don't necessarily have to build this immediately, like I mentioned. This can be an extension that you add on to it, but then in the meantime, make this wall not a wall, but it's openable windows or sliding folding. So eventually you can integrate it, and on the upstairs as well, make them less of a wall and try to reduce the amount of structure here so that you can easily pass through and walk right through and integrate with the extension on this side as part of the primary unit. So even for the terrace, I would suggest whenever you go in there and reconstruct, look at where you're going to put the staircase. Yeah. You can even put a straight staircase like this, or you can do a dog leg. And again, I mentioned future proofing. Now, it's still good to put a staircase like that and then have a lift in the middle, because if you do a straight one, you can't really put a lift there. It kind of sticks out right here like this. So at the back here, you have your yard at the back. So similarly, and also at the front, you have the setback where you're going to put your car. In this case, 2 the most, and the rest are all interior spaces. So you have a living area here, and then probably a dining area here, and then your kitchen areas here, and probably an area here that you want to be able to enjoy out in the garden. So it's a small kind of configuration for a terrace house. So this is the terrace, and this is a semi-detached. So I kind of covered all the different configurations in Singapore, and if you're living overseas, give us a call and we'll see what we can do for you in configuring a site so as to really incorporate those value appreciation principles we talked about again, and see how we can work. So I end this video, and thanks for watching.